So as we all go through this hair journey, so as we all go through, hey, so as we all go through this hair journey and learn what our hair is and what it isn't, in particular, what hair type, that's really important in terms of the information you get as far as do's and don'ts and advice. I do understand it. Let me preface this by saying, I get where this comes from, what I'm about to say. However, it's not helpful. It's not helpful for you and people who have your hair type, and it certainly isn't going to be helpful for people who don't have your hair type. What I mean by that is those that downgrade their type in order to how do I say this, in order to, I guess, have hair that's relatable to problematic hair. I'm trying to be PC in how I say this, even though there's no real PC way of saying it. Downgrading your hair type just to be down, I don't know. And I think that is what causes the downgrading of that hair type and calling themselves for B, even I've seen C sometimes, and saying that their hair is nappy, when clearly those with truly nappy hair could see that it's not. Case in point, I used to date this guy a while back, but his hair was in dreads. However, he was kind of medium to fair skinned, and his hair it looked like white boy's dreads. Basically, his hair was pretty fine in texture. It was kind of curly, kind of not, and some other issues came up in the relationship where I could see that he wasn't happy with the fact with his skin tone being a little bright, and I believe he tried to overcompensate a lot in trying to show his blackness per se, and I think his hair was a big part of it. And I remember, after he would get his hair twisted, which he had to do a couple of times a month really, that week and leading up to it, he was just not in a good mood, and those of us in this skin, we all understand, the colorism that exists. But in regards to our hair, that's a huge part of it. With that said, there's a lot of discrimination that happens. And I had a girlfriend I grew up with since elementary school, and I remember we'd both come to school with pigtails. Mine were more pig puffs. But, sometimes she would wear hers braided and she was like more Pocahontas-like. And sometimes it would be out, but it would hang. And I remember being at her house one day, and and I'm looking at her hair and I'm like, how did you get your hair to do that? I remember having that conversation, and she was just like, oh, I don't know, my mom just puts this moisturizer in it. And I'm thinking, yeah, I got moisturizer in mine. And I didn't say it. I didn't know how to say it. I mean, we were still, quite little. I think we were like 10 or 11 years old. But as we got older, not only did she perm her hair, she would weave it or you know, put it back in a ponytail and then do the long weave ponytail most of the time. And she has, you know, 3C, mostly, maybe a bit of 4A hair. I mean, it's beautiful. However, she covered it up most of the time. And I think she did that because, you know, most of us don't have that hair. And those who have good hair, I think have had to hide their hair just as much as those of us on the other side of it. Which brings me back to why I'm doing this video. I really want to encourage us now that a lot of us are you know, coming into discovering our natural hair and wearing our natural hair without the shame and the blah da 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 da, you know, with all the other stuff that comes with it. But as we come on to YouTube looking for advice, be careful how you type your hair. Be honest about how you type your hair, because somebody newly natural with type 4 BC hair and you say you are type BC, but clearly you were an A, 4A, if not in a 3C category, you're going to discourage that 4BC girl because she's going to try to do everything you're doing, and she's going to think something's wrong with her hair because it's not going to look and react the same way yours does. That they can't just run a comb or brush through their hair, that they got to have another method. They can't just use this, they can't use the same products even, and then they try to use your products, and you may actually discourage somebody. You may persuade that person into thinking, well, they just don't have the type of hair that can be natural, because they're looking at you as having their hair, but then when they can't achieve it, you know, it's not good, and then revert back to whatever they were doing previously, which is why I'm saying it's not helpful for anybody. And then not only that, it's not helpful for you because you're not celebrating what your hair is, and you're not creating a community around your hair to make your hair type not only look as good as it can be, but to also shed that discrimination that you know, even you guys have been going through. But by trying to downgrade your hair and try to bring yourself on this side of the track, first of all, we see you. That's the first thing. But you know, it's a sad thing. I think it's changing. I think as 4BC really learns how to maintain and to manage and manipulate their hair, and start to see the beauty in their hair, then those weird looks towards the not so nappy hair types will go away. As I've learned to manage my hair and get it to look like this, now I'm getting those looks because now my own folks don't think I have their hair. So it's a learning process, but at the very least, if you're gonna come on YouTube and make a video and share your experience and your techniques and your do's and don'ts and the things that you've learned, at the very least be honest about your hair type. I think as we become natural, we need to work on, I'll say that, erasing that from our description as well, because just like the other N word, it comes with a whole lot of baggage. And if you constantly, I think some of us can say it and it's really, you know, with the A on the end, and well, not with nappy, but you know what I mean. And it doesn't have it doesn't create the sting inside, you're just using it as a term. But I think like with the other N word, if you keep saying it, you're holding on to some of that past and to some of that negativity, and it may prevent you from truly expressing and being happy with your hair. So be careful with it. Let's try to eradicate the nappy word, and don't even get me started when other folks try to use that word. It's just as bad in my opinion. Look, we need to keep that certain terms with certain people and stop trying to be cute, because it's not cute, because you're gonna say it in the wrong place and space one day and you're not gonna know what happened to you. So I would be really careful. Just be sure that you're looking at and getting advice from those who have your hair type to help you through, so that we all can have good hair and we're not walking around looking like buckwheat. Just saying. Nobody wants to walk around looking like buckwheat, no matter what your hair type. Although some guys, I think it's cute, but that's a whole nother video. Right? So stop downgrading your hair. It's not necessary. You guys need to work on your stuff just as much as we need to work on our stuff. But if you're going to come on YouTube and share your experience and advice and your do's and your don'ts, if you downgrade your hair, you're missing out. You're missing out on the larger picture. All right? So, peace and hair grease. Bye.